So I'm Knut. I'm an author, a podcaster, and an international village idiot. And this is my presentation. It's a bit of a reminder of why we're all here, why we're here in this room. Because there's a lot of confusion still in this space. So, do you know what this is? This is a peace treaty between countries. So countries sign a paper sometimes that they promise each other that they're not going to bomb each other anymore. But what is peace and what is war, and how do we define the two? In Austrian economics or praxeology, we differentiate between biological and catalactic competition. This is on a very basic level. So human beings and also animals have two ways of resolving conflict over scarce resources. And one of these methods is called the biological method, and it's the fang and claw of the natural world. Whoever beats up the other animal or kills the other animal gets to keep the resources. That's why I have these lovely ladies here. Janet Yellen here and whoever the other ones are. The other way we have of resolving conflict over scarce resources is communication. And markets is nothing but communication. So we can either resolve the conflict over scarce resources by fighting one another or by trading with one another. These are the only two options we have. And of course, reality is more of a mix of the two most of the time, especially for humans. We can see, even in the natural world, we see species collaborate with one another all the time. So here we can see a bee getting pollen on his legs from the flower, and thereby they help each other. The flower provides him with nectar, and he provides the flower with the flower's sex life, basically. But even in human affairs, we have a sort of mixture between biological and catalactic competition. So it's a bit of free market and a bit of violence almost always. So this is probably a consensual free trade. However, the good being sold, it's questionable if that is going to be used for another peaceful transaction. That might be used for something else. We know bankers do this all the time. Like they have what they're doing, especially with fractional reserve banking. They claim, they give you a receipt for something they don't have. And this is how money started, like a bill, so a dollar bill or a peso or something. It started as a receipt for gold that you deposited in a vault. And whenever that bill loses value, the only reason it does that is because someone is counterfeiting new ones and printing them. So all inflation is theft at its heart, and it's not catalactic, it's biological competition. Someone is stealing from you, and there's a gun threat somewhere down the line if you don't pay your taxes and if you don't use the money they tell you to use. They will use force to make you do what they want. Taxes, the same thing. Here we have the wonderful Prince John. And who was later fought by the libertarian freedom fighter Robin Hood. But he took a lot of things from his subjects in the form of taxes. And of course, we are in Argentina after all. You know the money printer itself is the worst thief of them all. You have experienced this brr thing for generations now, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, now we're going to another thing. So where does this lead to? This is a game theoretical experiment called the prisoner's dilemma. Oh, do I have it? Oh, that's back. Yes, so in this dilemma, you have two criminals. Let's call them Craig and Calvin. And they can both, they are accused of a crime, and they can choose to admit the crime or blame the other guy. And what happens if they both if they both cooperate and if they both say they did the crime, they get a 1-year sentence. If one blames the other, but not the other, then one goes free and the other serves 3 years. And if they both blame one another, they serve 2 years. If you look at this chart, it's kind of obvious that if you play this game once, it's better to cheat and try to blame the other guy, because you have a chance of going free. And this type of scenario shows up in human societies and in nature all the time. Here you have a famous mathematician called Robert Axelrod. He figured out a way to, what the best strategy for playing this prisoner's dilemma type game is in the long run, if you're playing it many times over. And it's a strategy called tit for tat. So it turns out, mathematically, if you play this game over and over, the best strategy is to cooperate until the other guy cheats and tries to trick you. And what you do then is that you give him an appropriate retaliation, which means you cheat the next turn. And then you go back to trusting one another again. So what this means is that, like, for very natural reasons, we are incentivized to help one another and be good to one another. It's better for all of us in the long term to have consensual, voluntary interactions than forceful ones. Here's an example of it from the movie The Dark Knight, where you have this guy, the Joker here. He has planted a bomb on each of these ferries. So there's 2 ferries trying to leave Gotham City, and he threatens to blow one of the ferries up, or both the ferries up by midnight if they don't blow each other up. So they're both given a detonator each to allegedly blow up the other boat. But they choose to cooperate instead, and neither ferry blows the other one up, which makes the Joker disappointed. And this is from a Batman movie, and speaking of bats, you can see this kind of altruism in the animal kingdom as well. This is a fat, saturated bat and a hungry bat. The fat bat is giving blood that he acquired during the night to the other bat, and they cooperate like that all the time, and they're incentivized to help one another. Same with the chickens and the pecking order here. The proud cock is letting his beautiful flock, this beautiful harem of chicks there, eat corn before he does. Now, this is the thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoins are stored in our heads, and therefore they incentivize us to help one another instead of try to cheat one another. So when you cannot know how much a person owns, which you can't with any person in this room, nobody knows how much Bitcoin you have. And that's true for everyone on Earth right now. Because you can't prove you just can't prove it. You can always have more Bitcoin, because all owning Bitcoin is keeping a secret from other people. There's just no other way of enriching yourself other than by providing something of value to your fellow man, which means that the profitability of aggression goes down. So an aggressor has less of a profit motive to attack you. So regardless of the aggressor is a bank robber or a taxman or a central banker, it is now more profitable for them to try to provide you with some good or service back. And what this means, this has so many impacts, so many second-order effects. You have, with Bitcoin, you have this limited number, 21 million. So we know that the Bitcoins are scarce, and we know that we can't make more of them, which means they will, in all likelihood, they will be worth more and more in the future. So we're all incentivized to keep them and not spend them on frivolous shit. So we're not spending them on Lambos and donuts and stuff. We're instead choosing to spend them on if we spend them at all, on more long-term thinking things. And this is the thing. The discovery of Bitcoin is a way, way deeper thing than you might think at a first glance. This is a miner. So what is a miner, really? What is it? What does it do? What is a node? What does it do? What is a laptop that you use to... What is a computer? This is what a computer is. It's an abacus. So it's just a mental tool that we use to expand our minds so we can perform calculations faster. But at its core, I mean, your computers might identify as non-binary, but they're very, very binary at heart. It's just on and off switches, and it's all this stuff. Which means that the miner, the real miner, is not the ASIC. So it's not the machine. It's the guy who decides to purchase the machine. And the node is not the Raspberry Pi running Umbrel, or something. Or Raspberry Blitz. It's the guy who chooses to do that. The person who chooses to be a Bitcoiner is the node. And so all of this stuff here, it's just an extension of the owner's mind. That's all it is. So that he can try to find the number and thereby find the block and thereby get paid by the users in Bitcoin. So miners don't look for Bitcoins, they look for blocks. And they get rewarded by the network in newly minted Bitcoin and fees for finding the block. There's a lot of confusion there. And we all know about this, how it works. You have a private and a public key. What is a private key? It's a secret you keep from someone. So the location of your private key, the seed phrase, the actual key, it's all a secret. The only reason that we say that we own Bitcoin is that we know the number, we know the private key, and we think that no one else does. But at the end of the day, it's in your head. So that's what's so special about the Satoshi. It's not a thing on a computer, it's a thing in our heads. The ability to send the SAT is not on the computer at all. It is in your head. So in this sense, you are your Bitcoins. You are your Satoshis. We're all Satoshis. We might not all be Satoshi, even though we have at least 2 Satoshis here today, I think. But we are this thing, and we have this lower time preference. And what this means, the Satoshis are in our heads. We're all Satoshis. We're all on the same path. Consensual interactions are, by definition, better for everyone than non-consensual ones. This is so super, super simple. We're better off if we're good to one another than if we attack one another. It's super simple. It's just that Bitcoin so blatantly pointed it out to everyone by becoming us. Imagine everything there is and everything that will ever be divided by 21 million. The Satoshis are in your head. And how do we make Bitcoin succeed? We help each other succeed. If another Bitcoiner has a successful career in whatever he's doing, in selling his goods and services, that's good for me. That's good for you. That's good for everyone who owns Bitcoin. So we have this inherent incentive to just be awesome to one another. It's great. This is definitely why I'm in this. And it doesn't work with shitcoins. It doesn't work with other stuff. It works with the 21 million. Otherwise, it doesn't fucking work. So, I was very happy when this meme took off. And there's plenty of examples of where it has been used and can be seen. I'm not the only one that has had these thoughts. Here is on The Simpsons show, Bitcoin is going to infinity. This is the private key by Fractal Encrypt. Here's some guy with a placard. Here's mine. Tattoos. People believe in this thing, and it's not going away. Even a side boob tattoo. These guys have the equation on their car. So does this guy, by the way. So I absolutely love that this thing stays in our heads You can find my stuff here at bitcoininfinity.com. How am I on time? 10 minutes left. 5 minutes left, okay. And yeah, be awesome to one another. That's what we're all here for, you know. Viva la Bitcoin, carajo!